In the early hours of September the 18th, 2012, emergency services are called to a house fire in Cwmbran, South Wales, where they find the bodies of 3 generations of the same family. Police uncover a dark taboo. The fire is no accident, and the man responsible, Carl Mills, is the father of a 6-month-old baby. But will the evidence be enough to convict him?
To be knocked out of bed and saying that, come quick, Kim's house is on fire. It's my family.
He's enjoying what he's done. He wanted to sit back and watch his work.
I seen Kaylee's arm at the window. I heard him scream.
The killing of 3 generations of a family within one night because of the actions of one individual is really difficult to understand.
Britain's Darkest Taboos reveals the shocking true stories behind the most horrific acts of familial crime, including the death of Croydon schoolgirl Tia Sharp.
He'd raped my little girl.
A crime that horrified a nation.
This is the little girl that was chopped up and put under floorboards. Even by Northern Ireland's cruel standards, this was a shocking murder.
And multiple murder.
3 generations of the same family being wiped out in one night.
On the 13th of December 1994, Gwyneth Swain proudly holds her first granddaughter. Her daughter Kim has given birth to a baby girl, Kaylee, in Newport, South Wales.
It was the first girl in the family since Kim. Kim spoiled her rotten. She absolutely spoiled her rotten. I worshipped the ground she walked on from the day she was born.
It's a particularly precious moment for Gwyneth and her daughter. Kim lost 2 boys as infants, and her eldest Sean requires special care. So Kaylee is idolised by the family.
Kaylee was the girl she always wanted, and when she had Kaylee, it was the best thing she ever had.
Kaylee was always going to be her number 1.
Kim and Kaylee form a strong mother and daughter bond.
Where Kaylee went, Kim went. Where Kim went, Kaylee went. They were just like 2 peas in a pod, but Kaylee was very quiet compared to Kim.
They were like sisters, then they were inseparable.
Psychologist Emma Kenny works with victims of familial crime in her clinics. She's been looking into Kim and Kaylee's relationship.
What was wonderful about Kim and Kaylee's relationship was it was a mutually reciprocal one. So as much as Kim was devoted towards her daughter, Kaylee reflected that relationship, adoring her mother. She idolised her mum.
Well, she was a fab mum. Her kids would have everything, no matter what. She would die for her kids, and that's exactly what happened.
With Kim still suffering from the grief of losing her 2 sons, she struggles with Sean's behavioural problems. But the family pull together, and Gwyneth helps out. Sean moves in with her. Kim retains regular contact with Sean, but Kaylee becomes her number 1 focus.
Because she lost the 3 sons as she saw it, so she was overprotective of Kaylee. Plus, being a girl, it's different to boys.
As Kaylee grows up into a teenager, she prefers spending time at home with Kim, rather than being with her friends.
She was very, very quiet. She never went out. She didn't go to discos, youth clubs. Like most teenage, 12, 13-year-old girls, you see them going out. She never did. She was a home bird. If Kim went, she'd go with Kim, but she never went anywhere on her own.
Shy, naive Kaylee has never had a boyfriend, and she relies on her mum for company. But as a 15-year-old girl, she craves attention off boys and decides to go online.
When you're a home bird, one of the opportunities that you have to connect with other people is through the internet. And Kaylee started to set up some fake profiles because she wanted to attract men. She wanted to feel normal, she wanted to feel attractive, and it gave her the confidence that she needed to connect with men.
Kaylee lies about her age online and starts speaking to 25-year-old Carl Mills from Bolton.
She met him through Facebook via a friend, I think so, and he started talking to her through there then.
Kaylee didn't have any relationships with boys as she was growing up. She wasn't very confident, she didn't like the way that she looked, so through the internet she was able to connect with people in spite of her shyness.
But who is Carl Mills? Forensic psychologist Dr. Kerry Nixon profiles violent offenders for Cheshire Police.
At this point in his life, Mills is homeless, alcohol abusing, a very dysfunctional lifestyle. He then starts talking to Kaylee online, and she is the perfect victim for Mills. She's young, she's vulnerable, and she's incredibly naive.
Kaylee keeps her online activity a secret from mum Kim.
That could seem secretive, but at the same time, many teenage girls recognise that their mothers would not be happy with that kind of behaviour, and Kaylee may have been thinking that her mother would have disapproved. It could have been that she was being manipulated. She could have been being told not to tell her mother.
She was like a 10, 11, 12-year-old girl. She was, I mean, she had the figure of a woman, but brain-wise, she was very, very naive.
Mills had the perfect opportunity, in spite of his chaotic life, to present himself as a caring, supportive potential partner.
Mills and Kaylee become a couple. For Kaylee, he is her first boyfriend, her first love. But Mills is every parent's worst nightmare.
It's disgusting. He makes me feel sick. She just seen it as, oh, I've met somebody, somebody's paid attention to me. And she took it.
As their online relationship develops, Mills comes to visit Kaylee in Cwmbran.
First time I heard about him was from the school when I was at Kim's. Kim said, oh, well, it's school on to me. Why? There's a guy hanging about the school and reckons it's Kaylee's boyfriend.
This begins the period of grooming. This is how Carl Mills starts to convince Kaylee that he should be in a relationship with her.
Kim and partner Di get a shock when the police turn up on their doorstep and take away Kaylee's computer and her mobile phone for examination. They return the items later that day and inform Kim and Di that 15-year-old Kaylee is in a relationship with a homeless alcoholic, Carl Mills, who has a string of previous convictions.
It was just totally shocking then. The person she's with is Carl Mills. He's dangerous. Keep her from him.
We know that Kim decides at that point, as a mother and as a very responsible parent, she's going to ensure that Kaylee stays away. She removes her phone from her, she removes her laptop from her, and she ensures that as far as she is concerned, Kaylee is safe.
But Kaylee seems infatuated with Mills.
She would still manage to get in contact with him because she'd have another phone with another SIM card in it.
What we see here is a loyalty shift. We see Kim and Kaylee, a close, united bond of many years, being broken down, and instead, Kaylee's loyalty shifts towards Mills. And in doing that, Mills gains power, and that's exactly what Mills wants.
She tried everything to separate them, but no matter what she'd done, Kaylee would always win out because I think she knew the right buttons to push with Kim. Because Kim didn't want to lose and she wanted to make sure she was safe.
She was always on the internet to him, on the phone to him, texting him.
Mills will not let schoolgirl Kaylee go, and he convinces her to continue meeting up with him on his trips to Cwmbran behind Kim's back.
She was much enough school to be with him and that sort of thing, and that really, really upset Kim because obviously she thought she couldn't trust her daughter then because that's when Kaylee started to change.
Dr. Kerry Nixon has been looking into Mills' dark past.
If we look at who Mills was, he was a failure in life. He was homeless, he was an alcoholic, he'd never held down a job in his life, he had negative relationships with everybody, his family included. He had a poor education. If we look at his previous convictions, we see a lot of threatening behaviour.
At the age of 18, Mills is arrested after he almost burns down his family home.
He actually set fire to his mum's bed.
On this occasion, no one is hurt, and Mills's mother refuses to press charges.
It's incredibly serious, and for a young person to set fire to their mother's bed, that signifies some deep-rooted issues.
Nearly 10 years later, Mills starts another fire, leaving 3 people dead. Mills has groomed Kaylee for 12 months, and she is fully under his control. His jealous and possessive nature is building to a horrific conclusion.
The only person Mills loved was Mills.
He said he was going to burn the house down, he's going to go to work and cut her up and make sure she don't have Kimberly.
All I could see was the smoke, and the windows were black. I knew in my heart that they'd gone. I knew it.
It's the summer of 2011, and 26-year-old alcoholic Carl Mills has been grooming 15-year-old schoolgirl Kaylee Buckley online for more than a year. Unbeknown to her mum, Mills has started visiting Kaylee more regularly in Cwmbran, South Wales. And when an infatuated Kaylee turns 16, their relationship quickly becomes sexual.
It was her first proper boyfriend, her first proper relationship, and she was besotted with him, literally besotted with him. There was no going back.
Although Kaylee idolizes Mills, he doesn't trust her. He decides to move to Cwmbran and sleeps rough under the bridge at the train station. Very quickly, he starts exhibiting controlling and possessive behavior.
Mills starts to demonstrate some incredibly paranoid traits. He's incredibly jealous. He's concerned all the time that she's cheating on him. Now remember, this is a really young girl, first boyfriend, vulnerable, not the type of girl with confidence. So it's his insecurities that are bringing this behaviour.
While Mills sleeps rough, Kaylee is at home with her mum, Kim. But Mills wants her by his side, 24/7. And his lack of trust leads to him verbally abusing Kaylee in public.
He would shout at her in front of people and call her awful names, call her fat, call her ugly. This is emotional abuse.
Mills is Kaylee's first love, and she accepts his behaviour. Her family hope that it's just a teenage phase, and their relationship will fizzle out. They also notice a change in Kaylee.
She was a completely different girl when he was with her. She wouldn't listen to anyone, she wouldn't do anything. She didn't want to know anybody. All she could see was him.
With Mills demanding all of Kaylee's attention, the mother-daughter relationship begins to disintegrate. Kaylee disappears with Mills for longer periods of time to keep him happy.
Staying out, we didn't know where she was, what life she was doing, what she was doing.
To Kim's horror, Kaylee falls pregnant.
When I found out she was pregnant, she'd been sleeping rough for 2 days.
Kim is devastated and confides in her friends.
Well, I had a phone call from Kim, crying, and I said, "What's up?" She said, "Kaylee's pregnant," and my heart sunk.
He wanted Kaylee to become pregnant because he thought by making Kaylee pregnant, they'd be tied together. They'd be able to get a flat together. She would obviously support him. He'd have control of Kaylee. He'd have control of all the money. He could still do what he wants, but it didn't work out that way.
Naive Kaylee wants the fairy tale and dreams of a happy family life with Mills. But Mills is no Prince Charming.
Now, any other man would want to keep their partner safe, but he encourages her to actually go and live on the streets with him. We know that Kim is a responsible mother. We know how much she adores her daughter. The idea of her child sleeping rough whilst pregnant is too much. And the way that she deals with that is to invite Kaylee back home and to bring Mills with her, because at least then she can look after her daughter and keep an eye on him.
She let him start staying in the house. The damage was done, she was pregnant. What else could she have done to keep her safe?
Dr. Kerry Nixon believes becoming pregnant made Kaylee more at risk of domestic abuse from Carl Mills.
Abuse often escalates or begins during pregnancy, and it's really associated with controlling individuals. And that's often because the attention is no longer 100% on them. The attention's on the baby.
Mills' abusive behaviour is escalating.
He used to call her a slag, and he used to say that she was a slut. He called her a whore. Everything under the sun he called her. And she would just put it down to alcohol and forgive him the next day, and that would be over and done with.
Mills is constantly accusing Kaylee of cheating on him, and when they argue, he sends her threatening texts.
He was going to stab her, he was going to stab her with the babies inside her, and he was going to kill Kim, he was going to kill Sean.
Although Mills's abuse is largely threats, on one occasion, he hits Kaylee when she's pregnant.
He punched her in the face once, just the once.
Kim would regularly tell Kaylee to leave Mills. She wanted him out of her life. And whilst Kaylee would at times understand her mum's position, the truth was that after he became abusive, he would often return and apologise. And also, she was pregnant. This was the father of her unborn child. She wanted to make it work. This was her first relationship. So we have to have some empathy with Kaylee and understand that this is a very difficult scenario for her.
Kaylee finds out she's expecting twins. But after a difficult pregnancy, in March 2012, she's rushed into hospital. Angel and Kimberly are born 13 weeks premature. Tragically, Angel is stillborn, and Kimberly is left fighting for her life. But Mills shows no emotion.
He didn't shed one tear. He didn't look at anybody. And you're supposed to be a father? No. It was dreadful, absolutely dreadful.
Kimberly is kept in hospital in intensive care.
She was in intensive care because she was only 1 pound 9 bone. She had 2 bleeds on the brain. She was deaf, she was blind, she had a hole in the heart, she couldn't feed properly. I mean, she was in there for over 6 months.
Saddest day of my life, holding a child that didn't even fit in your hand. And he just sat there in the corner, slumped on the floor.
He had no feelings for the twins at all, nothing. I mean, he had no contact with them. He had no feelings for her. He didn't go see them, nothing. He didn't care.
This wouldn't have fit in with Mill's plan. He wanted an easy life. He wanted a house with benefits and to be able to control his family. Suddenly, everybody's attention is on Kimberly. This is where the abuse escalates.
Instead of comforting his traumatized teenage girlfriend, Mills blames Kaylee for the death of their daughter.
He said that it was her fault that Angel had died and that Kaylee had killed Angel, his favourite daughter.
While Kaylee is recovering from the trauma of losing Angel and the premature birth of Kimberly, Mills visits the hospital. But he only seems interested in Kaylee.
Talking to midwives who work with victims of domestic abuse, they will often tell you that men will demand sex immediately after their wives and girlfriends have given birth. And this is very indicative of control.
Kaylee and Mills engage in inappropriate sexual behaviour at the hospital, and Mills is barred from visiting. Kaylee is discharged, but Kimberly remains in intensive care. However, Mills has no interest in seeing the baby, and he discourages Kaylee from taking trips to see her daughter.
He had such control over Kaylee that he was still able to take her away from Kimberly. He almost wanted her to choose him over her own daughter.
Immature Kaylee is easily manipulated by Mills, and she stops making regular visits. In her daughter's absence, grandmother Kim steps in and makes daily visits to see Kimberly at the hospital. Mills wants Kaylee all to himself, and he sees this as an opportunity to pull her away from her family. He convinces Kaylee that Kim is best placed to raise baby Kimberly.
It got to a stage then, I don't know if he was brainwashing or what he was saying to her. She kept saying to Kim, I want to be the sister, you be the mother. And Kim was going, I don't want to be the mother, I want to be the grandmother. That's all I want, the grandmother, to make sure you and Kimberly are safe.
What we have is Kimberly in hospital, now primarily being looked after by Kim. And again, this demonstrates how Mills is withdrawing Kaylee from the family unit.
Desperate for a daughter to bond with her baby, Kim manages to convince Kaylee to spend the weekend at the hospital and go on a course where she learns how to care for Kimberly. Reluctantly, Kim agrees to let Mills house sit while they're away.
He completely destroyed the house. He cut the electric wires, the TV wires, the lights. he let the dogs defecate all over the floor, and he trashed the bedrooms.
I went down and picked up Kim. I said, you need to go to the police and report this. I said, it's criminal damage.
This shows a complete lack of respect.
Mills is convicted of criminal damage. Concerned about the threat Mills poses to the family and Kimberly, social services become involved.
Social service said he wasn't allowed near the baby, otherwise they take the baby away from him.
Despite all of this, Mills' magnetic control over Kaylee continues. Angry with her mum for going to the police, she starts sleeping rough with Mills again. As social services are involved, there is a danger that Kimberly will be taken into care. So Kim agrees to become her primary carer. A care plan is put in place, and it involves Kaylee moving back home with her mum, leaving Mills on his own.
He sees himself being pushed further and further out. As we see him starting to lose control, that's when we see an increase in his aggressive behaviour.
To get Kaylee to come home, Kim agrees that violent alcoholic Mills can live in a tent in the front garden. But this infuriates Mills. As his anger grows, he continues to send abusive text messages to both Kaylee and her mum, Kim.
Kim never took it seriously. Well, he said he was going to burn the house down, he's going to go to work and cut her up and make sure she don't have Kimberly.
He sent a text or something that he was going to go down and dig up Angel from the grave and stamp on the two boys' heads. But this is the mentality of the person. That is just evil.
Kim confides in her friend Kerry, who confronts Mills.
He said that he was going to kill Kaylee and Kim. And I said, over my dead body. I said, before you touch them, you've got to get through me. And his words were, well, you can off your Welsh, because I'll set your house on fire as well.
Being at home with her mum seems to help Kaylee realise that her daughter needs to become her #1 priority, not Mills.
Kaylee's had it a little bit hard because when you go to hospital and you have your children, you bring them home, and she lost one and Kimberly didn't come home with her. So Kaylee didn't feel like a proper mum. So the only person she had to hold on to was Carl, and she held on to him. And we always said the minute she brings that baby home, the very minute, is when she'll feel like her mum and things will change. And I think that's what changed.
Kim is determined that the three of them, Kim, Kaylee and Kimberly, will be a happy family, and Mills will not be a part of it.
Kim is going to take care of Kimberly. She's going to sacrifice, essentially, the rest of her life, giving 24-hour care to Kaylee's daughter. And that's a fantastic thing to want to do, but most of all, she wants Kaylee there too. She wants to give Kaylee the opportunity to be a mother to Kimberly. And it's that means that Mills is shot out of the picture. And it's knowing that he isn't part of that picture and that ultimately Kim wants him outside of it that leads Mills to murder 3 generations of the same family.
He wanted them all dead. They all deserved to die.
Kim was shouting, I can't get you, I'm on fire.
I seen Kaylee's arm at the window. I heard them scream.
It's September 2012 in Cwmbran, South Wales, and hospital staff have some exciting news for Kim and her daughter, Kaylee Buckley. After bravely fighting for her life for 6 months, Kaylee's baby daughter, Kimberly, is going to be allowed home for the first time. Kim's neighbours and friends prepare the house for the new arrival.
They was putting banners out all day. People in the area were quite excited. You know, I mean, you went to a local shop because everybody knew babe's coming home today, you know. Everybody was, and the neighbours were all excited.
For the first time, Kaylee has an opportunity to hold her daughter in her arms in her own home, and a shift occurs.
That evening, Gwyneth pops round the corner to see her 3 girls, Kim, Kaylee, and the baby Kimberly.
From the time she brought that baby home from the car, She had the look of a pride of a mother bringing her baby home for the first time. And I really believed that she was going to become a mother finally.
Suddenly, she recognises that where she wants to be is with her daughter.
She was sat nursing the baby. And she had the look of, she was smiling and she was so proud. And I just said, right, I'm there if you need me, give me a ring. And I walked home and that's the last time I seen them. They were a family again. Kim was so happy, she was over the moon that baby had come home, and Kaylee was.
Normally, Kim's partner Di stays at the house, but that night he goes back to his flat and leaves the girls to it.
I left them to be a nan, daughter and granddaughter family. That's the only night I didn't stay there. I wish I had.
Kaylee's priorities are changing, but her controlling, jealous boyfriend is not going to let that happen. By letting Mills camp in a tent in the front garden, Kaylee is still at his mercy, and his resentment is building.
It's such a powerful image to imagine Kim, Kaylee and Kimberly stood together, their first night with this little girl in their home, a family again. And of course, it's a very different scene outside, where Mills is on the front lawn living in a tent alone. In fact, it's absolute metaphor of his life. There is a successful family, unified together and loving, and there is he, an abusive man, all on his own, and it fuels his anger.
Mills' jealous paranoia is tipping him over the edge. He convinces himself Kaylee is cheating on him and has a man in the house with her.
He was absolutely 100% positive she had another fella in that house. And Kaylee never did. She was besotted with Carl. She never did anything that she shouldn't have done with anyone else. Nothing, but that's his drink talking again.
Mills starts texting Kaylee, threatening her, and calling on her to bring out the man he believes she's sleeping with.
So he's feeling abandoned, something which will trigger all the emotional issues. And he's also feeling extreme jealousy. If he can't have Kaylee, nobody is going to have her.
Peter Jones of Gwent Police is the senior investigating officer in this case.
The content of those messages was extremely chilling and set out, I think, what Mills' intentions were.
Mills is building in anger. He feels Kaylee is putting their daughter before him. At around 11 p.m, he sends a sarcastic text message before ripping down the banners outside, welcoming Kimberly home.
This shows us how jealous he was. Jealous that the baby and Kaylee was getting this attention. Jealous that they were having this family time and he wasn't part of it.
Mills' threatening behaviour is escalating, but instead of calling the police, Kaylee tries to appease him.
He starts to text and text and text, but Kaylee repeatedly gets back to him calmly. She's kind to him, she shows no aggression towards him. As the night goes on, she suggests that she needs to go to bed and she ends the conversation with him. Now, at this point, it drives him crazy.
As his anger and resentment and jealousy is increasing, his threats become more sinister.
At around 1 a.m, an incensed Mills sets fire to the tent in the garden as a final warning to Kaylee, who's asleep in bed.
We were able to recover a number of text messages, but one specific one which was effectively encouraging Kaylee, I think, to look at the tent because he was suggesting that what he'd done to the tent he was about to do to the house, which is, you know, an extremely chilling message to send, but also a very clear one, I think.
The fire in the tent goes out, but Mills isn't finished there.
At 3 a.m, when he's had no response and he's had all these thoughts fueled about what's going on inside, he decides that he's going to punish her ultimately.
He wanted to murder them all. Initially, the person he probably hated the most in that house was Kim. She was the one that stopped her daughter from being with him. That's what he would have thought. He hated the baby for coming along, for being disabled, for not being the baby that he wanted. And then because Kaylee had the courage to turn away from him, had the courage to pick her daughter over him, he wanted them all dead. They all deserved to die, as far as he was concerned.
About 3:15, and I was dozing on the settee, and I had my windows open. Loads of September, it wasn't cold, and I could smell smoke. So I went onto my balcony, which was just the side of me, and as I opened the door, I looked around and could see thick black smoke coming from next door house.
We heard a disturbance, basically shouting, but then when we heard baby, we thought like could be a domestic or something like that. So we thought we better sort of get out of bed and check it out, basically.
There wasn't a lot of flames, it was mostly smoke. And the time I got outside, which was, seconds, then you could see how bad it was with the thick black smoke coming out.
We ran straight into the garden, but then the bedroom window started to blow, and the smoke then was just absolutely horrendous. Everything was happening quickly, but also at the same time in slow motion.
So you react on instinct, although you've never been in that situation before, you just react on instinct, I suppose.
One of the neighbours who tried to get in, smashed the door to try to get in, but the window blew out and cut himself, so he had to step back.
I knew, as soon as I saw the fire, I knew it wasn't an accident. I just knew it was deliberate, and I knew he was lurking in the shadows somewhere.
If a person has antisocial personality traits, they don't feel love. They feel ownership and control. The only person Mills loved was Mills. He didn't feel empathy. He didn't feel remorse. He's the kind of man that could stand there and watch the person he so-called loved and his own child burn to death.
He just walked past with a grin on his face. He just had a quick look at the house and carried on walking. He didn't make no effort whatsoever. And I mean, in his statement, he said that he was trying to help. He wasn't. He was knowing. He walked past me.
That says to me that he's enjoying what he's done. He wanted to set fire so he could sit back and watch his work, watch the people that he hated die.
He's vile. He makes me feel sick.
Kaylee had Kimberly in her arms.
I heard Kaylee, she was screaming for her mother. She was just calling Mam. Yeah, it was hard.
Kim was shouting, "I can't get you, I'm on fire." Those images go through my head 24/7 of her screaming. Not being able to get to her daughter to do anything. And I know she would have done everything in her power to get there.
She was screaming for her mum, and then when she didn't get any response from her mum, she was just hysterically screaming.
I seen Kaylee's arm at the window. I heard them scream.
The screaming you could hear over and over again, and obviously there were noises of the fire. We were aware of people around us, but it was Kaylee screaming is all you could hear. Really, that's all you still can hear. Is still in your head. She was shouting for her mum, and obviously she wasn't getting any response.
One of the neighbours was calling to her. That's when she went back in, and I think the smoke or whatever got to her. And you never heard nothing after that, not a sound. You couldn't hear a pin drop. It was like watching a film and somebody switched the sound off.
It just seemed eerily quiet after all the screaming.
It was like a frozen moment in time.
At around 3:30 a.m, emergency services arrive and battle the blaze. Meanwhile, a few metres away, Gwyneth has no idea of the tragedy unfolding.
About 3:45 in the morning, the neighbour knocked my door to say the house was on fire. Just got dressed and I ran. But then when I got down, all I could see was the smoke and the windows were black. I knew in my heart that they'd gone. I knew it.
Oh, he screwed me over, hasn't he? He's taken my life from me. Kim was my life. Kaylee was my life. Kimberly was my life. To be knocked out of bed and saying that, come quick, Kim's house is on fire. It's my family.
They come knocking on my door at 4 o'clock on the Tuesday morning to say that the house is on fire, and he said to me, she's gone. I said, what do you mean? He said, the house is on fire. He said, Kim's gone. It didn't even click in my head that he meant that she was in the house when the house was on fire.
For Di, the guilt knowing he wasn't there that night is too much to bear.
So I just sit there and think to myself, could it be different? Would it have been different? Maybe it would have killed me as well, I don't know.
Mills's behaviour is not that of a man whose family have just perished, and the police apprehend him.
Mills was arrested extremely quickly after Gwent Police and other emergency services had attended Tilsland. He was found within the confines of the garden, and very quickly a decision was made that he was to be arrested and was detained soon after.
Mills is taken to Ystrid Munich Police Station, and he shows little emotion.
His behaviour and the things that he was saying, etc., were completely at odds with what you would expect somebody to be behaving in that set of circumstances.
Mills tries to convince the police that there were no problems in his relationship with Kaylee.
He was very happy to talk about all aspects of his life, his relationship with Kaylee, and just wanted to, in my opinion, maintain this facade of a happy relationship, and then trying to present a scenario where he left Kaylee safe and well, gone to sit on a wall a distance away from the premises, and then coincidentally a fire had taken hold, and then he returns. And that's what he wanted to present throughout that interview.
Mills has deleted some of the sent messages from his mobile phone, but the police are able to recover Kaylee's phone from the burnt-out property. And the evidence is damning.
Once he was presented with the phone evidence, he wasn't able to maintain this facade, and the option that he chose at that stage was don't answer any more questions.
During a police search of the bins next to the property, they make a discovery that helps them illustrate Mills's state of mind on the night of the murder.
We recovered a section of bunting, which by the face of it was torn down, and that bore Carl Mills's fingerprint. That for me underlines possibly a real sense of frustration on his behalf.
The evidence against Mills is mounting up. The threatening text messages on the night. The neighbour's witness testimony placing him at the scene smirking. His fingerprint on the bunting torn down in anger. The setting alight of the tent outside the property not long before the fire in the house. And Mills's long history of threats to kill against Kaylee and her family mean he is charged with 3 counts of murder. Mills pleads not guilty. The police know that proving how Mills started the fire is going to be crucial in securing a conviction.
There was no eyewitness that said, I saw Carl Mills strike the match, light the lighter, set the fire at this location.
Will they be able to convince the jury of his guilt?
And seeing him sat across the room grinning at me, thinking it was one big joke, thinking it was funny.
The killing of 3 generations of a family within one night because of the actions of one individual is really difficult to understand.
It's July 2013, and 28-year-old Carl Mills is on trial at Newport Crown Court for murdering 3 generations of the same family. His girlfriend, Kaylee, her mum, Kim, and Mills's own 6-month-old daughter, Kimberly Buckley. But Mills shows no remorse.
I watched Mills with interest during the trial to look for any semblance of regret, but I didn't see any.
I got up and got upset and went out, so did Sean. And he was smirking because we got up and we walked out to the court crying. And he was smirking.
And seeing him sat across the room grinning at me, thinking it was one big joke, thinking it was funny. And all the time, you know, you could see everybody's devastation, or sat there laughing.
Police and the prosecution have to prove that Mills set 2 fires that night. One in the tent to threaten Kaylee, and the other with the intention of killing the family. Crucially, a neighbour took a photo just after 3 a.m, which shows the 2 fires were separate incidents.
From the photograph, that whilst the fire has begun to rage in the porch area, the tent is actually untouched by the fire from the house. So we know that the damage caused to the tent was actually caused before the fire in the main property.
The court hears how Mills started the fire with a lighter or match in the porch area of the property, setting fire to a recycling box.
In just a few minutes, we've got the fire starting in the porch area. It's actually spread up the stairwell and taken hold in the 2nd floor of the property in that short space of time. The family had no chance of escaping within 3 minutes.
The heat from the fire was so intense, it melted the pipe to the gas meter, and this then acted like a flamethrower.
Just here is the bedroom of where the body of Kim Buckley was found. And on the other side of the property was the bedroom where Kaylee and her daughter Kimberly were sleeping, and that's where their bodies were discovered. You can see the way the fire's taken hold, that they had no way of getting to one another and no way of escape down the stairs, which was completely engulfed by flames and heat at that time.
The court is told that since Mills was familiar with the layout of the property, he knew that by deliberately setting fire to the porch, there would be no escape. On the 18th of July 2013, Carl Mills is found guilty of 3 counts of murder. The judge describes him as despicable and says that he condemned his victims to an agonizing death. After an appeal hearing, Mills is sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 35 years. However, the judge added that there is no saying whether he will ever be released.
The killing of 3 generations of a family within one night because of the actions of one individual through some ill-placed jealousy is really difficult to understand.
I was like, you can choke on a razor blade, whatever. You don't deserve to be on this planet. No. Why should he still be alive for what he done?
Gwyneth cannot understand how Mills was able to kill the woman he claimed to love, and his own daughter.
It's the worst betrayal I could ever think of. Somebody you love, to kill him like this. Not only his own daughter, his girlfriend, and my daughter. It's evil.
3 generations of the same family being wiped out in one night. For the community, the neighbours, for Gwyneth, for Di, for Sean, for everybody involved, the trauma of this experience is far-reaching.
I wake up every night at 3:30, every night, and you know, it is something that I'll never forget and know that nobody else will forget. And it's something that has affected me deeply.
I haven't accepted that they're gone. I won't accept that they're gone. I can't. They were a part of my life. I can't just, they're buried, they're gone. No, they're not.
Gwyneth ensures her daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter are laid to rest together.
She did everything to try and keep Kaylee safe. She put up with an awful lot from that person. And in the end, she gave her life for that. You don't expect your children to go before you, never mind your great-grandchildren. Sorry.
Gwyneth and Sean have carried on mainly because of the support of their local community and neighbours. This is a community that have pulled together and helped them continue.
She is, without a doubt, been a rock for every single person in this area.
She's just an incredible woman.
A memorial garden has been set up where the house once stood, and Gwyneth, her family, and the community ensure that the memories of their 3 special Ks lives on.